Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin' Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly comic book review. That's right everybody, thanks for checking out the video. I am Rockin' Robbie Billups. This is the weekly comic book review. It's the show I read a lot of comic books and I let you know what I thought about them, and we always start with the pick of the week. And this week's pick of the week, The Last Mermaid, issue number 1 from Image Comics. This is written and illustrated by Derek Kirk Kim. Now, I'm not familiar with this person's work, but I am absolutely floored by this book. The first thing you're going to notice is that it's not your typical comic book format. It's a little bit wider, it's a little bit shorter, but that space is utilized to maximum effect in this book. This is a very simple tale. There's very little dialogue. It's mostly told visually, but it's absolutely astounding to me. So it's about this mermaid who's in this like mech suit. So there's like a bowl, like a pod of water, and she can like, it's like a car she can drive, but at the same time it's like got legs and can run around. It is absolutely a cool concept and a cool idea, and the artwork is so freaking brilliant. The coloring, everything about it really pops, but above all of that, it's the storytelling in here that really astounds me. It's a very simple tale. We just get introduced to her little, like, she's got this, like, little fish dude friend or something, that thing. It's incredibly cute, and they use the cuteness of the animal. They use this interesting artwork to kind of already get you to feel for these characters. So even though I don't know anything about this world, I don't know anything about this character, I don't know anything about this suit, I just know, hey, there's a mermaid in a mech suit with a little fish friend, and they're in danger, and the emotions are there. I'm connected to these characters already. That's incredibly well done. Very little dialogue, very little explanation, just a great visually told comic book story. That was The Last Mermaid. I loved it. I thought that was great. It is $3.99, but it is definitely worth it. I think it's absolutely cool. When you get to the shop, just open it up, take a look at that artwork. I mean, it's a quick read, but it's filled with emotion and just incredibly technically sound graphic storytelling. Also from Image Comics, we got Void Rivals here with issue number 7, kicking off the second arc of Void Rivals, which is part of the Energon universe. No super close connections to Transformers or anything like that in this issue of Void Rivals, but it is a really solid issue. Now, during the hiatus that this book has taken in between issues 6 and 7, they have released the trade paperback. But before that trade paperback's release, I did go back and I reread 1 through 6, and I liked it a whole lot more on the second read than I did on the first read, and it really set me up perfectly for issue number 7. In this issue, we find out, or we pick up where we last left off. We learn a little bit of backstory about our two characters, and we get introduced to a new threat, a villainous assassin who's being sent after them, who makes their first appearance in this issue. It's menacing, it's cool, it's not completely out of the water gonna blow you away, but this book has a very methodical and intentional and deliberate pace to it, and just the character work that's being done by Robert Kirkman is amazing. And once again, I applaud Robert Kirkman for, even though he's got all of the Energon universe at his disposal, he wants to do his own thing and make a emotional and human story, even though it's on an alien world. Really cool concepts and really excellent artwork. Once again, from Lorenzo Di Felice. So, Void Rivals, really cool, and if you haven't checked it out, get that trade paperback and you can jump in fresh right there. Then we got Gunslinger Spawn issue number 29. So as a result of Spawn 350, Hell has a new ruler, and one of the ramifications, the big ramification that's hit all of the Spawn books, is that all of the people powered by Hell or Heaven have all lost their powers on Earth. That means Gunslinger Spawn included. So this picks up a few months after the events of 350, gets you catched up to what Jaime's been doing at the time, and it sets up a new story. It introduces a new character that he's going to kind of buddy cop with. It was all right. For the most part, I like the stuff where we see what happened to Gunslinger in between Spawn 350 and this one. The story was fine. It was decent enough. But in the artwork, by the way, man, I'm just blanking right now. The artwork is done by Carlo Barberi, who is coming over from the Spawn title. It's good. It's a little bit of a step down in artwork. It's not as fresh or as exciting as it has recently been. But it was still pretty solid. Dexter Soy and Brett Booth, that's a hard act to follow, but the story's still there, the character's still there, and seeing Gunslinger have to deal without powers, he's actually going to be dealing with that a little bit better than some of the others, because he's always been in a weakened state. And so that's a cool, interesting take that they've done. By the way, there's some really nice covers out this week, but I'm going to give the cover of the week to that one right there. That is Randall on the cover. I just love the use of black there. I love the symmetry. I love the composition. I think that's really dope. All right, then we got King Spawn here with issue number 31. Once again, just like Gunslinger, picking up a few months after the end of 350. Somebody who's very important with close ties to Spawn's life has been kidnapped, and Spawn is on the path trying to find this person. So Spawn is powerless, but he's still doing his Spawn thing. I really liked this issue. I thought the writing by Todd McFarlane got ironed out from some of the previous few issues. It was a really great, clean, fresh start. But what I loved about it the most was Jeremy Hahn on the artwork. So that's right. This is the artist that you may know from The Red Mother. That was a great book back in the day. And when I first heard that Jeremy Hahn was going to be taking over this Spawn book, I didn't know how that would work. It works splendidly well. I've said this before. Sometimes when an artist gets over to a McFarlane book, they elevate in some form or fashion. And I already loved and appreciated what Jeremy Hahn had brought to comic pages before, and now I love it even more. King Spawn 31, by the way, as well as Gunslinger Spawn number 29, are tied for the smell of the week. Then we got Kaya here with issue number 16. Wes Craig's just been killing it on this book. This is no exception. Really cranking up the story, moving up that scale and really that pace and that momentum, and things are starting to get more tension-filled in the pages of Kaya. A really great issue, really great character work. It's about a brother and sister. The brother's the chosen one. The sister's trying to protect him. They got to go off on this mission. The mission doesn't go quite the way they want. The little brother tries to make a decision that he thinks is going to help things, and it may just make things worse. But what really highlights this book, aside from the excellent world building, aside from the excellent character work, is the artwork. The artwork is so clean, so fresh, so free, so fluid, and absolutely amazing. Kaya continues to astound. Then we got Crave, issue number 4 by Maria Lovett. This is a book about an app that you tell the app what you want. So this is taking place at like a college campus. And you tell the app, hey, I want to have sex with this person. It goes, go to this elevator at this time, and we'll see. And Crave is somehow able to make your dreams a reality as long as it's within the potential or the probability that it will happen, because otherwise it will tell you no. So you got a lot of hurt feelings, you got a lot of just sex and bumping and grinding going on at this college campus, and it's infested the core group of friends that we are following throughout this book. This is a big explainy, exposition-heavy issue. It was a little bit weaker. The first couple of issues of Crave were pretty solid, but the last issue felt like it was stagnating a little bit. And this one, even though it's giving us the explanation and it's a big revelatory issue, it doesn't do it in a very exciting way, and it does come across as maybe this book is already spreading itself just a little bit too thin. But Crave number 4 is out. Let's jump over to Marvel, where we got Ultimate X-Men issue number 1, Peach Momoko on Ultimate X-Men. Now, I know that the Ultimate books have been super hype right now, especially Ultimate Spider-Man. People are really digging that one. Ultimate Black Panther was solid. What about Ultimate X-Men? I liked it. I didn't like it as much as Black Panther, and definitely not as much as I did Spider-Man, but it was interesting. And what I thought was super interesting about it was the scale of this book. It's very, very small. It takes place in Japan. It's or what Japan is in this reality, because it's part of this place that's run by like Sunfire and a few others, right, as part of the Maker's Cabal. But this is very much a small scale book that's about armor. Right? So the character of Armor, she's highlighted here. Her powers manifesting, but there's also this shadowy threat that I'm thinking that seems like maybe it's an ultimate take on the Shadow King or something like that. But it's interesting, but it doesn't get into the giant world stuff that Black Panther does. It doesn't really get all of the beats that Ultimate Spider-Man hits, but it was still good. And Peach Momoko knows how to tell a story, and there are some really, really great, creepy, classic Peach Momoko type bits here. I really did like the book. I thought it was really solid. It didn't completely wow me and blow me away. I don't think it's going to do that to a lot of people, but if you're a Momoko fan, you're going to love this one. But if you're an Ultimate fan, you might want to check this out, because even though it's starting small, this may very well start enlarging itself as each issue progresses and we get introduced to more characters in this world of Ultimate X-Men. Also want to point out that Ultimate Spider-Man #1 third print is out this week. They're probably going to be limited again, but if you get a chance, grab it up. If you missed out on the first print or the second print, third print's here. Don't worry though, don't overpay. Fourth print is on the way. You can let your shop know today that you want it. Then we got the Spectacular Spider-Man issue #1, start of a new series that's going to highlight and focus on Miles Morales and Peter Parker team-ups. This is written by Greg Weisman, who is one of the creator of Gargoyles. He's writing the Gargoyles books right now over at Dynamite, and he's got a good kind of vibe playing with Spider-Man here. It is funny, it is quippy. There are a couple moments where you're like, that line didn't quite land, that one was a little bit off, but for the most part I thought it was fine. It was a decent story. It's got this like hulkling or this hulked out version of the Jackal in it, and what's really cool is that Humberto Ramos is on the artwork. So the artwork is great, the action is there, the story is there, the personalities are there, it works together, it works as a nice solid book, and it's just simple and fun. And like I said, not every joke lands perfectly. It's a little shaky at some times, but for the most part, I had a lot of fun with this book. And now between this and Ultimate Spider-Man and Miles Morales, man, we got some good Spider-Man books over at Marvel. All right, then we got Weapon X-Men issue #1. This is from Marvel. This one is a multiversal team of Wolverines sent on a mission by the Phoenix of one reality to hunt down Onslaught. But this version of Onslaught is not an amalgam of Xavier and Magneto, but Jean Grey and Magneto, because it comes from a different reality where Jean's the one that mind-wiped Magneto, and that evil lurched into her and festered and became Onslaught. So you got Weapon X, that's the Wolverine from the Age of Apocalypse. You got a woman Wolverine from like the early 1900s. She's actually a really cool character in here. You have the Wolverine from Earth X, and if you remember the Wolverine from Earth X, he had like a beer gut and like he was balding and kind of pathetic, and that's actually pretty funny. You got Old Man Logan in here as well as a zombie, the Marvel zombie version of Wolverine. And at first I was like, oh Jesus, but it's actually kind of fun. Christos Gage has a great job of kind of handling these different versions of Logan into this world. It's very Exiles themed type, but it's all solely Wolverine, but it works and I enjoyed it. It's not going to change your life or anything, but I did find this book to be amusing, entertaining, and fun. Artwork was okay, could be a little bit better, but wasn't too bad. Then we got What If Aliens issue #1. This is a new series that's co-written by Paul Reiser. That's right, Paul Reiser played Burke in the Aliens movie, and this What If is what if Burke lived. So you know that he had the plan in the Aliens movie to get one of the crew members, one of the soldiers impregnated, and to put them in cryo and take them back to Earth. But then he winds up getting killed by an alien. But what if he survives? That's what this story is. I was rolling my eyes when I first heard about this. Like, first of all, why does it take 4 people to write this book? It's Paul and Leon Reiser. I don't know the relation there. Adam F. Goldberg, Hans Rodioff, and Brian Folkveiss. 5 people wrote this thing? 5 people wrote this thing. 2 people did the script, but 5 people came up with this story. Okay, but it wasn't that bad. It was all right. It was kind of fun. It's kind of nice to revisit some of those moments from Aliens, see a different take, and by the end of this issue, I went from rolling my eyes to, that's actually not too bad. That's kind of fun. That's kind of interesting. So I thought I'd hate it, and I didn't. So What If Aliens, #1. Take with that what you will. Then we got Doctor Strange #13. This is really cool, like a nice throwback to the Secret Defenders days. I don't know if you remember this. You probably do, and if you do, Make sure you're taking all your medication. But back in the day, like Secret Defenders was a book I really liked because Doctor Strange would pull different heroes together for each different story, for each different mission. And it would always be this ever rotating and evolving team membership. But Doctor Strange was always there, maybe a couple others. They had Darkhawk in a couple, Deadpool were in some. But I loved that book. Plus, I had that red foil cover that most people have in their collections, if not 2 or 3. All right. So this is a nice throwback to that, where there is this mystical land that's starting to encroach upon the Earth that's based on a Dungeons and Dragons type fantasy game. So it's like real, but at the same time, it's still this magical fantasy game. So that's a cool concept and idea. Pascal Ferry does all the architecture of it very, very well. The character design is very clean line work. But the story's great too. And so Doctor Strange has to put together a team that's appropriate to go on a mission on this game, even though it's a real thing. So he has to get a thief, it's Black Cat. He has to get a priest, and it's Hunter's Moon. He's got to get a fighter, and he gets Taskmaster. A ragtag group, an oddball group put together. But this was actually really fun, and I've been enjoying what Jed MacKay's been doing on Doctor Strange. Let's jump over to DC. And from DC, we have The Batman First Night, issue number 1, a new book from DC Black Label. It's written by Dan Jurgens with artwork by Mike Perkins, and this is an Elseworldsy Batman Year 1 tale set in the actual era that Batman was first created. So it's the first bit of Batman in a mature reader's type way set in 1939. There's lots of references to 1939, whether it's the social stuff going on or whether it's the pop culture stuff going on. And I really appreciated all of that. It wasn't really completely like mind-blowing or anything like that. Like, I don't know if Dan Jurgens has ever done a mature book like this, at least not in my head. So it's neat to see the guy that killed Superman drop the F-bomb a couple of times in a Batman book. But the book is decent. It's all right. It wasn't obnoxious. It was nice. It was enjoying. I was enjoying it, but there are a couple moments where it does kind of get clunky and kind of unevenly paced, but the artwork by Mike Perkins is top-notch. Mike Perkins is an excellent artist. He had that amazing run on Swamp Thing with Rom V, and the artwork here is really top-notch. But it's basically Batman Year 1 in 1939 with a little bit more of a mature reader's vibe to it, but it was decent. It was all right, but it does kind of get clunky here and there in its pacing. Then we got Batman 145 kicking off the Dark Prison story arc. Jorge Jimenez is back. You know what that means? It means it's another exciting issue of Batman. Chip Zdarsky's Batman run's been up and down for me, and I'm starting to notice that when it's up, it's when Jorge Jimenez is on the title. I loved that first Failsafe arc. I didn't really like the second arc where he's going through the multiverse, but I did like that last issue of it. Jorge Jimenez did that. That also set up the whole 0 of multiple realities implanting themselves in our Bruce's brain. Then the next arc was just kind of okay. Joker Year 1 didn't really do much for me, right? But let me tell you something. Jorge is back, and I'm loving it. So Zur-En-Arrh has now possessed the robot body of Failsafe and is out there acting as Batman now. So Batman's captured along with the Joker. They're having some nice little powwows and discussions, and it really does illuminate why Joker Year 1 happened the way it did. Is because all the information that Bruce gets in between issues is what we got in those Year 1 issues, so it caught us up to what Bruce knows, so that's fine. But the main story itself was really solid. I like it. When Jorge Jimenez is on this book, it absolutely rocks. And I'm going to tell you something. This Zur-En-Arrh failsafe version of Batman is freaking awesome. And it's all leading into stuff that's going to be coming to its culmination throughout Absolute Power, the big DC event coming out this year. Then we got Kneel Before Zod, issue number 3. Joe Casey is writing this one. We recently had a conversation with Joe Casey here on the channel. Check that out if you missed it. We talked about this book, some of his other current and upcoming work, as well as some of his old school stuff that I'm a huge fan of. Kneel Before Zod is a really cool book, and it's Joe Casey trying to bring Zod back to the Zod place that Joe and me and others think he should be. Truly brutal, truly villainous, truly threatening and menacing, and that's what's happening, right? And in the pages of just 3 of these issues, he's completely turned Zod's life upside down and around about again, and just really is setting up what could be the definitive Zod story. Now, I know that there were a lot of rumors, by the way, at what was going to happen in this issue, and I saw a lot of people scoff at it. No, you don't know what's going to happen in this issue, but what happens in this issue is like, oh, y'all done did it now. Kneel Before Zod, I'm really liking that book. Then we got Poison Ivy here with issue number 20, the second of 3 parts in the secret origin of Pamela Isley. They're retreading Pamela's origin as Poison Ivy a little bit. It's a lot of stuff that we've already been told and explained in the pages of G. Willow Wilson's Poison Ivy, but now they're showing it to us. In the last issue, I didn't feel like they needed to do this. Like, it just kind of felt like you're disrupting the story just to kind of show us what you've already told us. But in this second issue, I actually appreciate this more nuance-filled approach to Pamela's origin, right? And there are bits that fit in with other things that have been revealed about Pamela's origins and some of the characters involved in that are being folded into this origin, as well as illuminating some of the stuff that we have been told. So I do here in the second issue think that this is warranted and is necessary, and I do like it. So Poison Ivy's been a really solid and consistent book. Issue number 20 is no exception. Then we got Shazam here with issue number 9, a nice one-and-done, self-contained team-up between Shazam and the Creeper. Haven't seen the Creeper in a while. Mark Waid writes him just right, just fine. Lupacino on the artwork, it's cool. I did notice, though, in the solicitations for the next issue, which are also at the back here, there's a new writer. And is it Sophie? It's Josie Campbell. Josie Campbell and the same artist here, but Josie Campbell's coming in. So this may be Mark Waid's last issue of Shazam. I'm not sure. That would be sad because he's been doing a great job, but now he's got something that he set up that somebody else can come in and maybe do a few issues. I don't know if he's planning on coming back or not, but this was a pretty decent, solid issue. Not as good as the stuff with Mora, and not as good stuff that he does with Mora over at World's Finest, but still pretty solid. Then we got Superman 78, The Metal Curtain, issue number 5. Superman 78 set in the world of the Richard Donner Superman movies 1 and 2, not counting 3 and 4. So Superman 78, the first book, was basically a Brainiac story that should have been Superman 3. This is a Metallo story that's involved with the U.S., Soviet Union, all that stuff going on, that Rocky IV stuff, that Red Dawn stuff that was going on in 80s movies. So this fits right in and totally should have been like a Superman movie we would have seen. Metallo, he's from Russia, he's got a kryptonite-powered suit, it comes from Lex Luthor. In this one, you get an interaction between Lex Luthor and Superman as he's trying to get information about the suit. So there's a lot of talking, a little bit of exposition, and then the setup for the climatic battle, which is going to be in issue number 6. So far, I've been enjoying all of Superman 78, but Metal Curtain, it's hitting me just the right way. All right, from IDW, we got Golgotha, Motor, Mountain, issue number 1. I knew that this book was coming, but I didn't really pay too much attention to the solicitations. I didn't know what this book was about. This book is about 2 brothers in this Kentucky town called Golgotha, which, of course, Golgotha is the name of the hill that Christ was allegedly crucified on that may look like a skull, right? All right, so these 2 brothers in Kentucky who are cooking meth get their meth cooking interrupted when this rock falls from space, and it falls in the town called Golgotha, and it looks like it might have like a skull head. They decide they're going to sell this meteorite as crystal meth because all their meth got ruined, so they just crumple it up, powder it up, and try to go sell it. And of course, people that take this meth, it doesn't go well. Let's just say that. The art by Robbie Rodriguez is pretty fun. It's got this nice sense of dynamism about it that has, and as well, a nice sense of dynamism that leads it to some of its humor approach. It actually has a humorous approach. Matthew Ehrman, Lonnie Nadler are the writers, and I really like it. It's a little tongue-in-cheek at times. The narration is really solid. The way they tell the story, where they keep going, oh, actually, we lied about that. Let's fill you in. That was really cool. Liked the structure, liked the story. Thought it was meaty. I got into it. Golgotha, Motor Mountain, that might be your sleeper pick of the week. All right. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Last Ronin 2, Re-Evolution. That's a lot of title. Anyway, this is the official sequel to TMNT The Last Ronin. The Last Ronin was a big smash hit, huge selling graphic novel in 2023. I think it was the best-selling graphic novel for good reason. A lot of people like that book. It is like the culmination of everything of the original Eastman and Laird Turtles come to fruition with the final story, The Last Ronin. It was tragic, it was sad, it was action-packed, but it was also hopeful and optimistic. So what this is a direct continuation. It's the new generation of Turtles. It's their first mission. Their mother, who is the daughter of Casey Jones and April O'Neil. This was a really solid book. I really liked most of its like double page spreads. It has a nice flow throughout. It takes its time. It gets you caught up. It reintroduces these characters, reintroduces the world of The Last Ronin, and gets you set up for what's to come. It doesn't really do anything super shocking or super giant like the first issue of the first Last Ronin did, but I did enjoy this book. So of course the story was developed by Kevin Eastman and Tom Waltz. It is written by Tom Waltz, and the art is done by Esau and Isaac Escorza and Ben Bishop. So two different artists doing two different sections of the story, but it works. It had a nice flow to it. There's some pages that absolutely stun, where there is like a duo shade type effect on those pages right there with the shredder, but it goes back to the original Turtles timeline. I love that it's picking up from there. I'm all for it. I know some people can look at it, roll your eyes and say cash grab, but yeah. Any comic's a cash grab. You're trying to make some money. And why not do a sequel to The Last Ronin? Well, The Last Ronin is no longer around, but the impact and legacy is. I really like that book. I thought it was good. Then we got Night People issue number 1. This is from Oni Press. It's based on a novel by Barry Gifford. I've never read the novel, but the adaptation is done by Chris Condon and Brian Level on the artwork. And it's all right. It's pretty gnarly. It's this small town. There's a lawyer. There are these two women who are running around like killing men. They got their own like religion that in cult they're trying to form or something like that. It was kind of disconnected and choppy. It never really fully came together. There's a lot of potential here, a lot of interesting things with different layers of the story folding in and on itself and different characters, but it doesn't quite fully reach compelling to me. It doesn't really quite fully engage me by the end of it. So I don't know. If issue 2 comes up on a really stacked week, I might just kind of dip out. Then we got The Fog, issue number 1. This is from Sumerian Press. I almost didn't want to read this because I was like, don't mess with The Fog. John Carpenter's The Fog is an amazing movie, and the more I watch it, the more I love it. I love that movie. I didn't know what this was. Is it a remake? Is it a sequel? Is it just an adaptation? This is a sequel set in the modern day to the original Fog movie, and it works. It works. The story absolutely works. The characters, how they relate to some of the characters from the original movie, and what they're doing now, the whole mythology of the tale of the leper colony and their death, and it gets deepened a little bit here. So all the stuff with the story and the characters, I really liked. And nice little throwbacks, nice little mentions and Easter eggs and nods. The one thing that is missing, though, is atmosphere. This book, artistically, does not have any atmosphere. It's just very gaudily colored. The artwork is fine. It gets the job done. But for the most part, it doesn't do anything to, like, bring in a foreboding atmosphere. And the story's trying to set that up, but the art doesn't really convey that. So that's my big problem with that. I liked the story. I liked this as a sequel to The Fog. But I did not like the lack of atmosphere and tone that was present in that artwork. Then we got Under Heist, issue number 2. This is from David and Maria Lapham, or Lapham. Lapham? 1, Lapham. 2, Lapham. Let me know. How do you pronounce it? Anyway, so this is a book about this dude who used to be a criminal, and then he finds out about this heist that's being pulled, and he's going to go heist the heisters. Little lock, stock, and 2 smoking barrels, and of course it goes wrong, but there's also something mysterious about his past, him and his lady's past, where he's got some like mob member or something, some guy who like came up to him one day, like they like carved some kind of sigil in the back of his neck. So they go and they pull off this heist of a heist in the first issue. It goes awry, and this one is him frantically trying to figure out what's going on, who's alive, who's dead, where's the money, but it keeps deepening this mystery, this almost occultish mystery of what's actually going on, and keeping just enough of it back, but letting just enough of it out to keep compelling me. The Laphams do a really great job on crime fiction. Check out Stray Bullets. Check out Murder Me Dead if you want to check out some of that stuff. Under Heist, it's not laying it all out there for us, but it's building a mystery like Sarah McLachlan. and it's interesting. So I did like that second issue. Then we got Pine and Miramac issue number 3. This is about a husband and wife private investigator team. We get more of the past of them. She used to be a homicide detective, but she couldn't handle emotionally seeing all the death, all of the murder, all the horrible aspects of humanity. So she takes up private investigation with her husband, who's like an ex-boxer or something. So he's the muscle, she's the brains, and they've stumbled on this like sex trafficking cult circle thing, and so they're trying to find out more about it, and it just keeps getting crazier and crazier, and they keep getting deeper and deeper. I like the artwork. The artwork is by Fran Kalin. It's got this nice kind of dynamic sense to it, and the colors really work for me. But I really like this story. It's got a nice vibe. It's got a fresh feel to it. It's Kyle Starks. He knows how to tell these stories. He knows how to tell them with the weight and gravity that they need to have, but as well as having fun with it and realizing that story and comics need to be fun. I liked this issue. I liked it a lot. Then we got Torpedo 1972. This is from Ablaze, written by Henrique Sanchez Abuli, with artwork by Eduardo Risso. I'm a huge fan of Eduardo Rizzo's artwork. I loved his book, 100 Bullets, that he did with Brian Azzarello back in the day. So I wanted to check this out, and it's just kind of okay. It's about this woman. She's engaged to this dude. He's like a journalist or something. He's writing a book or an article. He's trying to figure out who killed this one mob boss. It's this dude named the Torpedo. He finds out who it is. She's trying to like get him over to take pictures or something, and then like he winds up assaulting her, and that's pretty much the book. It's all right. It's very jumpy. The lettering, it has a nice kind of like, the script has a nice kind of back and forth kind of snappy dialogue to it, but the lettering spaces it out too much that at times it gets clunky, and then some of the pacing of the story gets clunky. So the book was just all right. The art was great, and one of my favorite bits is in the beginning they're watching The Godfather, because it's set in 1972, and seeing Rizzo do Marlon Brando like that was cool. So the art was cool, but I don't know, the story was a little clunky. It was hard to follow at times. It was just alright. Alright, then we got The Devil That Wears My Face, issue number 5. I believe this is the penultimate issue of this run, which has been amazing. What if a demon possesses a priest? That's what this story is. And then the priest is in the body of the man who was initially possessed, and when he was trying to exorcise this man, the demon took over the body of the priest and put the priest in the body of the man. And it's been all kinds of crazy hijinks ever since, and David Pepose, the writer, has really raised the stakes in this issue. Issue number 5, the ending of this one, is one of the mind-shattering endings in comics this week. Fan-frickin-tastic, and the artwork by Alex Cormack. I've loved Alex Cormack for years. His work on Sync, his work on Road of Bones and Sea of Sorrows and Breath of Shadows, his work on Crimson Cage. This is the best work of his I've ever seen. It is super gnarly. It is really rough, jagged, and visceral. It is a top-notch, perfect comic. The Devil That Wears My Face. Exorcism stories done right. Then we got Beyond Real issue number 2 from Vault Comics. This is written by Zach Kaplan with amazing artwork by Fabina Mascolo and Tony Fajula. I really like the art in this book. It is very cleverly told. It has got some interesting spreads and composition, and the lettering is freaking amazing as well. Who is the letterer? I should have known. It's Hassan Ansman El Hal, but a really cool visually looking book. The story, it's been a while since I've read issue number 1, but I remember it's about this woman. Her partner is like in a coma or something, or maybe she was, and she starts seeing that reality is different than we perceive, and she's able to go between the layers of reality. In this one, she comes across some other people that are in between realities, and it's basically a big chase issue. It doesn't really move a whole lot forward, but it does visually keep an interesting kind of flow to it. It was interesting enough, but it's been too long since the last issue. I kind of felt a little disconnected from it, so maybe I need to go back, sit down, and reread issue 1, and then read issue number 2 fresh. Alright, then we got Red Light issue number 3, another one with a long hiatus between issues. At first, it was kind of bothering me. I was like, where are we at? What's going on? Then I remembered very clearly, oh yeah, this is about a brothel that is populated by artificial intelligence. And one of these women, she's never left this place. Since she's been created, she's just been a servant of this dude's behest at his brothel. She decides she wants to run away. One of her Johns wants to help her, and her and a young artificial intelligence from the brothel run away together to try to find a new life. But of course, you run from one trap right into another. Really solid book. I really liked it. I like the artwork. I liked it. I don't know what else to say. I did like that book a lot. All right, then we got Disney Villains, Cruella de Vil, issue number 2. Sweeney Boo's doing a great job here. This is a direct sequel to 101 Dalmatians. After the disgrace of being arrested and all that stuff, Cruella de Vil is trying to... she's trying to rehabilitate her image, right? And one of the things she has to do is sell a bunch of her stuff off to, get back all of her funds, and also she has to like donate some of it to animal charities or whatnot. But there's a new force and factor playing around with her that I liked it. If you like 101 Dalmatians, if you like Cruella de Vil, if you love the Disney villains, this is a really cool one to get into. The Maleficent one was amazing. The Scar one's been good. Where's that been? Shouldn't we have a new Scar? Huh. The Hades one is alright, but Cruella de Vil is probably my second favorite out of all these Disney villain series so far. So that's what I read, that's what I thought. Let's recap real quick. Cruella de Vil is pretty solid, especially if you're a fan of 101 Dalmatians. Red Light, I liked it. Enough said. Beyond Real, I felt a little bit disconnected from, but it's got some amazing artwork. The Devil That Wears My Face ripped my face off this week. That was awesome. Torpedo 1972 just did not work for me. Pine and Miramac improved on issue number 3. Under Heist is still kind of interesting because I don't really know what's going on, but I really like and I'm compelled by that mystery. The Fog, it really works story-wise and character-wise as a sequel, but artistically it falls flat. Night People, lots of good ideas, a lot of potential, but it doesn't really come together. TMNT Last Ronin 2, Re-Evolution, loved getting back to this world, loved this new set of turtles, very excited to see where that story's going to go. Golgotha, Motor Mountain, your sleeper hit of the week. Meth heads trying to sell a space rock to other meth heads. It's going to go bad. Superman 78, The Metal Curtain. Superman 4, That We Deserved. Shazam, number 9. A really great team up between Creeper and Shazam. Poison Ivy, number 20, continuing the secret origin of Pamela Isley in fantastic fashion. Kneel Before Zod, number 3. Joe Casey doing what Joe Casey do, which is make good comics. Batman 146 has got Jorge Jimenez back. That means it's good. Batman First Night. The Batman First Night, 1939, year 1. Dan Jurgens uses the F-bomb. That's pretty much that book. Great artwork by Mike Perkins, by the way. Doctor Strange 13, kind of a throwback to Secret Defenders that I loved. What if Aliens was good? That was the question that we answered today. Weapon X-Men, a really cool team of Multiversal Wolverine going after a multiversal onslaught. That's cool. Spectacular Spider-Man. Not everything lands perfectly, but it does work for the most part. Great artwork. Don't forget Ultimate Spider-Man number 1. Third print out this week. Ultimate X-Men number 1. Perfect for Peach Momoko fans, but it's so small in scale, I expect it to enlarge in that scope as those issues progress. Crave is starting to lose me just a little bit. Kaya never lost me. It grabbed on and never let go. King Spawn and Gunslinger Spawn continuing the world of Spawn post 350. Both pretty solid. Jeremy Hahn's artwork was amazing. Carlo Barberi, just a little bit of a step down. Both share the smell of the week, and Gunslinger gets the cover of the week. Void Rival sets up a new threat and a new villain for our heroes, and it continues this awesome world building and explaining some of the past of these characters. But the pick of the week is The Last Mermaid, an excellently crafted, visually told story that had me feeling for these characters with very little information. Beautiful stuff there. So that's what I read, that's what I thought, that's what I dug. What are you reading? What are you thinking? What are you digging? Let us know in the comments down below. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And check us out over at patreon.com/PCP if you want to help support the channel. I've been rocking Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us. Station. Keep on reading. Pop, pop, boom!